Hai, saya Heather Variava, Wakil Duta Besar Amerika Serikat di Indonesia. Menyambut datangnya bulan Ramadan, saya mendoakan keberkahan selama sebulan penuh bagi semua yang menjalani. Di saat-saat penuh ketidakpastian dan kecemasan yang sedang berlangsung saat ini, saya terinspirasi oleh berbagai kisah mengenai harapan, kemanusiaan, dan kedermawanan yang tak terhitung yang kita miliki bersama. Semoga bulan ini memperkuat persahabatan kita. Selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa.
Hello everyone and welcome back to EdAmerica TV. My name is James from the eGuide America, and we will State University or the Princeton's University. Stay tuned, State University or the Princeton's University. Stay tuned until the end of this program because we'll be giving a live shout out to whoever can answer correctly on our social medias. I'd also like to let everyone know that as continuation of EdAmerica's 10th-year anniversary and a season full of holidays, we are holding an activity along with several giveaways. Those giveaways are food worth 1 million Indonesian rupiah for 10 lucky people. If you're interested in joining, stay until the end of this program to find out more. Other than that, don't forget to take a selfie and tag EdAmerica's Instagram account. And now, without further ado, let me introduce our moderator for today, Kak Vina Alatas, EdAmerica's very own Education USA advisor. Kak Vina, the stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much, James. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to EdAmerica TV. My name is Vina. I'm one of the advisors for Education USA based in EdAmerica. We are located in Pacific Place, Jakarta. I'm so very excited about this event this morning. And I'm going to keep saying as we go on by saying congratulations for some of you who already get accepted, received the LOA. Maybe you're still waiting for the LOA, and that's fine too. Let's talk about, some kind of the first few steps. What you need to do when you get accepted, right? So we're going to discuss a lot of things this morning. And if you already, in a point where probably you are receiving the LA, or maybe you want to defer and you want to share with us, feel free to do that. Please use also the Zoom chat feature here. I already have my colleague Santika who will basically interact with you guys. I will also interact with you guys in chat. If you want to basically unmute yourself and then in Zoom, and then you want to kind of turn on your camera probably, and then you want to share some of your stories, or you have any questions, feel free to do that. But I would like to basically say hi to everyone who is also currently probably watching the session from the different platform, because of course, with EdAmerica TV, we are not only here in Zoom, but we are on basically all of the social media platforms. So we are currently live on Facebook. We are also on Twitter. We are live on YouTube, on Instagram, livestream.com, and of course here in Zoom. Feel free to stay wherever you guys are watching this from. If you have any questions or any comments, leave it in the comments where you are watching this session. But if you also want to join us, join the crowd here in Zoom, feel free to do that as well. It seems like more people keep coming in. So yeah, feel free to do that. And I would like to just kind of give a really brief introduction, just in case this is your first time and then you don't know who we are. So basically, again, I'm with Education USA. So Education USA is basically a network under the US State Department, or here in Indonesia, we call it Kementerian Luar Negerinya Amerika Serikat. So we are fully supported by the US State Department. All of our services are free of charge. And one of my goals here, not only to assist you to at the end you end up in the US, but I want Education USA to be for Indonesians to be the go-to place if you ever need any guidance on studying in the US, because what we do is basically we assist everyone every step of the way. So we provide you with 5 steps. So, start with like the very basic one until the very, last one. So what we are having today is kind of like the last step, but kind of like pre-last step. So, we usually have pre-departure orientation, which, by the way, we are planning to have the big pre-departure orientation sometimes in late June. So please stay tuned. So this is basically the pre-departure orientation is basically for everyone who is about to depart to the US, or maybe some of you guys are still, about to start the process of, applying for the visa. But we can also talk about that today as well when the time, if you still have the time. So what we're going to have today is basically kind of, you just recently got accepted, and then, some of you probably still confused. Okay, what do I need to do next, right? So this is basically what the event today, because I always, most of the time, we always have the event in the evening. So if you were here last Thursday, probably not, probably some of you also joined the event on Thursday. I tried something new where basically, I'm not using any PowerPoint slides, and I want to also do the same thing today. So, but I already have my talking points here. So think of this session as some kind of like a podcast as well. So you don't have to always look at the screen, although feel free to do that. But mostly you're just going to see my face. But, I already have my talking points. But also, try your best to pay attention to some of the information that I'm going to give, because, probably there are some information that you probably want to jot down, probably on your phone or what have you. Okay, so later on, I'm going to check, because we're going to have a special guest, one of my colleagues, David, at the US Embassy, who is also with Education USA. I'm going to check later on if he's already here with us. But basically, I want the Zoom chat feature to be very, like alive. So feel free to say hi to everyone. I see a lot of familiar names here. Some of my advisees already got accepted, or maybe still waiting for the LOA. So I'm very excited about that. I want to check okay, so let's actually just start what I have here. So basically, once you get accepted, right, what happens? And please share with us in Zoom. I would love to hear if you guys already get accepted. Before the event starts, I got to talk to Abe and Arfarina. Abe just got accepted to Penn State. Arfarina just got accepted to VU. I see some of my advisees here. Ada Kurnia. Kurnia kemarin keterima di beberapa kampus kalau nggak salah. University of Chicago, and then waitlist on some other campus, if I'm not mistaken. And then I got Hussein Haikal here, just got accepted to Georgetown, I believe, or is it George Washington? I already got mixed with that universities. So I'm very excited for having you guys here. We got Trista. Trista, I think you're just about to apply, or you already got accepted here. And then, please say hi to everyone. Basically, what I love about this, kind of like preparation, kind of like the last step, is that I want the sessions to not only you receive information from me, from Education USA, but also networking with one another. I really wish we could do it in America, but unfortunately this time we have to kind of like hold on a little bit, doing digital things. And then again, like I said earlier, please, be ready, clear up your schedule at the end of June. Probably like on a Saturday morning as well, because we're going to have the annual pre-departure orientation. I want to check if Santika is here. So if not, I will kind of call up her later on when she's ready. But because, Santika is here. I would like to say hi to Santika. Hi, Santika. Santika is also the other advisor for Education USA. And I'm so very jealous because Santika is in America this morning. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Vina. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today as well. So yeah, it's nice to see a lot of people already coming in. I expect a lot more coming in, Vina, because I literally invited about 20 something accepted students on our list. So yeah, looking forward to have them today.
Cool. Yeah. So again, yeah, on our list, yeah, Santika, we have about over 25 people already get accepted, but it's not over yet for sure. I mean, I don't do 25. I can't accept that this year we only get 25. That's too few. We usually have more than that, but we just have not reached out to all of our advisees. And because, there are still some students, some advisors who are still waiting for the LOA from the campus. So sometimes in early June, usually we, email blast everyone and basically check with them if they already get accepted. So yeah, Trista here said already get accepted. Congratulations, Trista. Where did you get accepted to? Haikal here in Georgetown. So, I love this. David is in the house. David Onko Wijoyo. So, if you guys see his name, basically he's our colleague. He's with EducationUSA as well. At the U.S. Embassy Jakarta. So feel free to say hi if you have any question or anything. Feel free to do that. Okay, so yeah, let's start. Santika. So we usually so we got accepted. So let's assume that, okay, we receive an email, right? We receive an email and then congratulations, you got accepted, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes there are some advisees would ask me, okay, so what do I need to do now, right? So of course, sometimes, like in that letter, they give you some kind of like a deadline to confirm the offer, and then it's basically varied from one university to another. It can be, like you need to confirm in the next few weeks, or maybe they give it maybe like a month or a couple of months to confirm the offer. And what happens is that you also have an option to defer. Oftentimes they don't actually really mention it. Hey, you can defer. Because if I can talk a little bit about deferral, just in case you are thinking about that. So maybe you already got accepted for the 2021 academic term or academic cycle, but you're thinking, you know what, I'm not ready to actually start this year. I'm, I want to kind of, postpone that to next year. But, sometimes they also have that deferral information on their website. Maybe one university, they are very strict about deferral, meaning that they clearly said that we are not offering deferral because actually deferral is actually really common in the US, but I've actually never heard about deferral outside the US. I don't know, I may be wrong, but in the US, deferral is quite common. However, they are not actually really keen on giving students deferral because they actually accept you for specific academic cycle for a reason, because they want you for that specific, term. I know that what happened last year, of course, there are a lot of people actually, defer to this year because of the pandemic that was like hit really hard last year. I know that, based on what I heard from my advisees, there are some programs where they actually really limit the number of people who can defer. So again, because in the US, especially when it comes to graduate studies, the universities, each programs all over the US, they are very decentralized. So we can't basically generalize, like, oh, okay, if deferral is common, that means all of the programs allow deferral, but it's very decentralized for each department. So you really need to pay attention to each individual school, whether or not they allow you for deferral or not. Okay. So basically, again, deferral, if this is something new for you, deferral is basically when you want to postpone your starting date to, it can be like a semester, but normally it's, like 1 year. But also be mindful that if you are granted the deferral, there will be a fee. So I heard it started from as low as $250, or maybe that's not like that low, but it's considered low because there are also a deferral fee that is up to, like 500, even like 1,000. Okay. So that's what happened when you got accepted, right? So if you want to do deferral, that's some of the options that you can do. Talk to the admissions committee about it. Sometimes they will ask you to kind of, write some kind of like a letter explaining why you want to defer. But let's assume that you don't want to defer. You want to actually, okay, I want to take the offer. So what happens is when you take the offer, of course, there will be some kind of like what we call the deposit fee. And again, each program will be different from one program to another. It can, again, with $250 probably, or I know that one of my advisors shared with me that deposit fee for his program, which is MBA. MBA is quite known for having, like asking really high number of deposit fee. That is like up to $3,000. So it's kind of like to show you that probably they mark up the the fee so high so that maybe, just kind of like hold you so that you're probably not, like leave, just like leave, So after that, once you confirm, you pay the deposit fee. What else, Antika? What happens after that? Would that be some kind of, when do we prepare the financial statement?
Yeah. So after you got the, let's say, you got the offer, you confirmed it, and you kind of, if you want to defer, you ask for, deferral and the process. If not, you go ahead with the deposit fee, right, Fina?
Yep.
And then next, you will need a financial statement. So here is kind of like, it depends. If you are an LPDP or Fulbright awardee, you can ask for a letter of guarantee from the scholarship that you got, and then use that letter of guarantee to give to the admission officer, or so that it will replace your financial statement. But if you are self-funding or other funding options aside from the full funding scholarship, then you will need financial statement from the bank. Usually it's also called bank statement. So if you go to your bank and you ask for the bank statement or financial statement, they usually will ask you like, what is it for? And you can tell them that it's for university in the United States, and they can help you with, like making it equivalent to approximately this much US dollar. You want to make sure, you want to check with your university how much you need in the bank statement at least. So like the amount minimal harus berapa, you need to check that because you don't want to go back and forth to the bank. And I think some banks also charge you with, producing that kind of statement. So yeah. And next will be, let's see, I have the list here, but okay. So after that, you give that financial statement or letter of guarantee to request I-20 or the S2 2019. So I-20 is for F1 and F1 visa holder.
Yep.
And the S 2019, the S 2019 is for J1. So
yeah,
it really
I have a request from a number of my advisees. They asked, hey, Ina, do you mind talking a little bit about the differences between F1 or J1? Especially now that if you're planning to apply for LPDP, we all know that they are going to ask you to use J1 visa. So yeah, I'm going to just kind of like very brief talk a little bit about the differences between the two. Okay, so so this is going to be a little bit very technical. So we are going to use a lot of terms like service fee, I-20, DS 2019, DS 160. But then again, I don't have any presentation slides with me, so please pay attention to it. If you kind of like unclear what I said, feel free to ask in the chat, and then I'm going to repeat that again. Okay. So just a reminder again, repeating what Santika just said. When you already give to the university that, hey, look, yeah, I can pay my I can afford this, the tuition and everything, be it self-funding, which is that's going to be your own financial statement. Normally, if you are still in if you want to continue bachelor's degree, normally it will be, assuming that your parents are going to cover the expenses, it's going to be your parents' financial statement. If not, that is going to be from the, where you get the funding from, LPDP or Fulbright. Bilangnya apa, Santika? We call it financial statement or letter of whatever. What is it? What is it called?
Letter of guarantee. Kalau dari scholarship,
okay.
scholarship giver is letter of guarantee, LOG.
Okay. All right. So yeah, and then basically once you submit that, and here's the thing. Here's when things kind of like get complicated. Because apparently there are some programs or some universities where after you kind of like submit the financial statement or the letter of guarantee or what have you, in order for them to issue either the I-20 or the DS 2019, I actually found out that there are some universities that give you the option to choose. So this is not common, but there are some universities that would just basically just ask you to, okay, which document that you want us to issue to you. So again, if you're with LPDP, then that would be nice, because then obviously you're going to choose the DS 2019 so that you can apply for J1, right? But then there are also some programs where they don't actually give you that option. So they just assume that here's the I-20. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between the I-20/F1 and the F2019/J1. So if you can remember this, if you want to, take a note. So I-20 is the document that will be issued by the university for you to apply F1. And then if they issue DS 2019, that means you're going to apply for J1. And then another thing is that this is the question of, like, when you ask, should I get an F1 or should I get a J1? And oftentimes people go to the embassy for asking that question. And I just want to let you know, this is not the question that you want to ask the embassy or the consular section of the embassy, because they don't know. They don't have the answer. What they do is, do an interview with you, and then whatever document that you already have, be it I-20 or DS 2019, and then they end up issuing you the visa, right? So if you're still confused, well, you need to ask yourself, okay, if I'm now with LPDP, then it's already clear. I'm going to ask for DS 2019. Or maybe this is also something that you can discuss to the university, okay? To the school. So F1, J1, what are they? Basically, both are non-immigrant visa, okay? So when you apply for a visa in the US, and we're considered, we are not, assuming that we are not a US citizen, obviously, right? Because actually we got a few students actually coming to see us, and they're actually US citizens, happen to be born in the US, grew up in Indonesia. And it's really interesting because some of those people thought that, because I grew up in Indonesia, I'm going to apply as an international student. I'm going to apply F1, which is actually not. As long as you were born in the US, you are technically a US citizen. So if there is some of you or one of you watch the session and you're actually born in the US, please share with us, because you're not going to apply as an international student, because we got that situation a lot. But yeah, so assuming that you are holding the Indonesian passport, you are going to apply as a non-immigrant visa, that is F1 or J1. So let's start with J1, right? So J1, and again, maybe you are familiar, you heard a lot about J1 because, for example, the Fulbright scholarship, if you're granted Fulbright, basically you're going to be under J1 no matter what. You can't apply for F1, okay? So it's a J1. So basically J1 is a non-immigrant visa issued by the US, and it's kind of, very clear where they give that type of visa to some, like research scholars, professors, and exchange visitors to kind of like promote some kind of like cultural exchange, while at the same time you can also, get some kind of, like a higher, like a degree. We're talking about like master's or PhD, okay? F1 is also basically a non-immigrant visa, basically to allow you to enter the United States as a full-time student at, to kind of basically to pursue education in the US at accredited college or university, or even like high school if you're planning to do high school in the US. Okay, so any kind of pursuing education in the US, the type of visa will be F1. That being said, F1 is actually the most common visa that a lot of people actually apply for when it comes to studying in the US. I know in the past with LPDP, for example, why I keep mentioning LPDP, because the majority of our advisees are basically master students or PhD, and then a lot of you guys are basically planning to apply for LPDP. So let's talk a little bit about that section, that part. And so yeah, with LPDP before, I know that they don't actually really specify, oh, you need to have J1, you need to have F1, but I know that in the past, most of the students, most of the Indonesians are applying for F1, and then I know that they are kind of like making new regulation this year that they are asking you for a J1. We got a question, if I'm not mistaken, Santika, recently, where the students already got accepted, and then the university is about to issue the I-20, but then she's also planning to apply for LPDP this year, and then she confused. Okay, now I need to apply for J1. How can I do that? Have we get back to this particular student, Santika? But the way I look at it, because this is like a very technical issue, and I actually have not seen that kind of situation before. I would say that for the student or for you guys, if you are also in that situation, to check with the school. Absolutely. So basically, guys, once you get accepted, your best friend is actually your DSO. DSO is designated school officials. Is it? I'm going to check. What is the O? I think it's official. So basically, they're going to be your friend. Any kind of questions, maybe you're wondering about like the vaccine or what have you, those are basically going to be your best friend. So keep asking them questions if you have, any kind of other questions. So that's that, F1 and J1, right? So once you know that, okay, I'm waiting for the I-20, I'm waiting for the DS 2019, which also, by the way, the State Department already issued that you are allowed to use the electronic version of the I-20, so that it doesn't have, right, Santika? You want to add something? Yeah.
So yeah, the electronic I-20, I would like to add a bit on that, because I had a few advisees already asking me which one is better, electronic or the printed version. And at that time, I did not recall that there will be a fee occurred to you if you ask for the physical copy to be sent to Indonesia. Totally forgot that. But now the good news is, since the pandemic, Vinaya, I think they made I-20 in an electronic version, so you can just ask for the electronic version without worrying about the physical copy, because you can print it on yourself on the I-20. Once you receive the electronic version, you can print it on your own. And unfortunately for DS 2019, it's not available in the electronic version. So you will still have to pay for the shipping fee, which is around $70 until $80, equivalent to about 1.1 Indonesian million rupiah. Yeah, that's mouthful. But yeah, jadi opsinya for I-20, I think it's better for you to get the electronic, because you will save on the shipping fee, and you can print it on yourself. I used to suggest, like, if you can get the physical copy, that will be better, but now that you can print it on yourself, then why not? Because some confidential documents do not allow you to print it out like that, but electronic I-20 is doable, so go ahead with that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, probably just add a little bit, because I forgot to mention. But this I-20 and this DS 2019 is, think of this document as something as important as your passport. Like, seriously, guys, you don't want to mess with, losing your I-20 or something, or like leave it somewhere at home when you want to leave the US or something, because I saw that happens a lot from students, because they don't understand how important I-20 is. So basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like when I about to leave to the US many years ago. I think someone told me that just kind of like staple the I-20 with your passport so that your passport has always be together with your I-20. So it's that important. So whenever you are about to, so let's say you are already in the US, right? And then you're about to leave the US for vacation or what have you, you cannot leave your I-20, right? You or DS 2019, you will want to bring those documents together with your passport. And of course, kind of the I-20, I don't know about the DS 2019, but probably it's the same. Every time you want to leave the country, you basically need to inform the DSO, and then they're going to kind of like have a signature, kind of like, saying that they are aware that you are leaving the country and that you're coming back. So it's that important. You can't. Yeah. And you gotta be very careful, guys. And I think this is something, and it makes sense. I mean, this is something that not a lot of us thought about, but since we are going to be a non-immigrant visa, it doesn't mean that when you are in the US, you can basically do whatever you want. But, and since you're going to kind of like very tight with the university, you have to basically tell everything to the university if you're leaving or what have you. If you're applying for a job on campus or something like that, you have to notify the university, because oftentimes people don't think about it. Like, okay, I already got the visa, I'm fine, right? I'm immune. I can basically just like come out and I even got to, I don't know something you've heard, but we got a story about someone already leave the US, already arrived in Indonesia, and then he got stuck and then he wants to come back to the US, and he got stuck at the US airport just because the immigration officer is kind of, where's your I-20? And then he just kind of like, what do you mean? It's in my house in whatever, San Francisco or whatever. And then of course, what do you expect? The immigration officer cannot allow that student to actually enter the US. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of like, complicated, because then the student has to call the school, and then the school has to kind of like call back the immigration officer to kind of like, confirm that, yeah, he's our student and everything. So we don't want that. Okay. So I-20 and the DS 2019. And that being said, the way I look at it, it's actually really nice if you can actually get the hard copy of the I-20, meaning that those are being mailed by the university. But then, of course, it's actually really nice that we can also now ask for the electronic I-20, because of the pandemic. There might be some delay and everything, or if you are like really in a hurry that you need to apply the visa as soon as possible, then I think the electronic one should be fine as well. And don't forget, once you get the I-20, print it out when you are about to apply the visa, because we heard, I have not heard the condition here in Indonesia, but I heard like outside Indonesia, there are some cases where, I got the I-20, it's going to be in my phone, right? And then applied the visa, got to the US embassy, not bringing not printing it. Yeah, and then they're not aware that you cannot actually bring your phone inside the US embassy. So then by the time they got to do the interview, it was like, oh yeah, my phone is outside. And so yeah, we don't want that, right? We don't want that. Yeah. What else, Antika? Do I miss anything here?
Yeah, that's my main. Thank you so much, Fina, for emphasizing the importance of sticking your I-20 with your passport together, because I totally forgot that, and that is really good reminder and tips. Because you don't want, my main concern that you need the physical copy is because when you go for the visa interview, you will be asked like, you will need your I-20 in a physical form, and you cannot bring in your phone for security reasons in the embassy. So that's why I stress on the physical copy. But yeah, Fina put out that you have to stick your I-20 with your passport together, because I see it like a two-step verification thing. So if you already have your visa in your passport but you don't have your I-20, it's kind of like which school you're attending, why are you coming back to the States? Like, they need to know if you are on vacation or something like that, because all of the status will be written in the I-20 and will be signed by the DSO, like Fina said. So that's like a permit that, hey, you can go back to Indonesia for the summer, for your vacation, and then you will be back for fall, something like that. So it's really important. You want to make sure you bring it everywhere, even if you want to be really safe, like wherever you travel, even within the states, you bring your I-20 as well, just in case you need to exert that you are a student in certain university. So yeah, that's that for me to add.
Yeah.
And
So before I
okay.
forgot, yeah, before we kind of like move on, so from like this, visa related topic. So we've been talking about EI-20, right?
Yeah,
How about DS 2019?
there's no.
Unfortunately, there is no electronic version allowed for DS 2019. So it's gonna
Yeah.
kind of like a bummer if you have to apply for if you're planning to apply for a J1, you unfortunately need to have your hard copy of DS 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically, there is no question so far. The way I look at it, I love it in a way because it means that you guys are paying attention to what Santika and I are saying. But if you guys have any questions,
Feel free to send it to
feel
us.
free to send it to us. We love to hear your, I don't know, do you have any concern? Do you have any, I don't know. Sure. Okay. Oh, Arfarina here is actually saying, which is, I think is a good one because my time was like many, many years ago. Be aware if you hold e-passport. As far as I know, you can't staple anything on it. That's a good one. So,
well, yeah, I personally did not. Well, I think someone stapled it on my passport, but I kind of remove it just because I don't feel comfortable, kind of like damaging the passport because it's so important. So what I do is like I have this small pocket to put in the passport and the folded I-20 together. So if you have e-passport, I think that's an option for you. Okay. And if you are questioning how much is the shipping fee for the DS 2019 or I-20, if you decided to have the physical one, it should be around 70 until 80 US dollar. So kurang lebih 1,1 juta. So you can save on that if you can get the electronic I-20. But as far as we know, Yavina, for LPDP and Fulbright, they kind of no, especially LPDP, they started only allowing J1. But if your program, we kind of discussed this internally with Vina and me. We kind of talk about this and David as well, and all of the advisors. What if like the program you want to attend has to be in the F1? So then you need to go to LPDP to discuss that, and make sure that you can get the visa that you need. Yeah, I think that's
so
that.
Santika, we got some questions coming.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'm loving so far some of the questions. We're going to answer some of those, but I want to kind of like stay in the timeline, kind of, based on our talking points. So we basically are still on the visa, right? We got, okay, so we still kind of like have some questions from Trista. And tadi ada dari Stephen Hartono, how long does it take to process the student visa due to COVID? And then Trista asked, how long does it take for the F1 visa to be issued? Basically the same. So technically, so let's talk a little bit about like the visa application process. What does it look like? I think Santika has like some good information in our talking points, which I really hope you can help me here. But I want to say that applying for the visa in the US is actually fairly fast. But so due to COVID, all we can share with you is basically just apply as soon as possible. So maybe some of you already know, maybe some of you do not know this yet, but technically you can apply for the student visa for F1 in particular, or just student visa in general, 120 days before your starting date. And what is your starting date? Basically, the starting date is what is going to be in your I-20, okay? And then the schools don't actually put the start date as your first day of class, but they kind of like put it a little bit early because, of course, when you get there, there will be some orientation going on. So it can be probably a week or 2 weeks before your actual first day of class. Okay. And that's basically kind of like your starting date, meaning that you can kind of like be in the US by then. But also, if you want to come in even earlier, that's fine. But it cannot exceed more than 30 days. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two things here, two dates, yeah? You can enter, okay, gini, biar gampang. Basically, you can apply for the visa 120 days before the starting date. So it's what, 4 months, right? So if you're planning to if you're planning to fly out sometimes in August, you can actually apply for the visa now, this month, okay, or maybe next month. And then once you actually already get the visa, which by the way, Indonesia is one of the countries that have a quite high acceptance rate, more than 90%. So if you're nervous that you won't get any, get accepted, you can think about, oh, it's over 90%. So it's actually really, really high. So it's a good news for us as an Indonesian. So 120 days. So once you get the visa, it doesn't mean that you can basically just fly out to the US right away, because you can only enter the US 30 days before the starting date. Okay, so although you get accepted now, you need to hold on to that visa until it's 30 days before your starting date. Okay, and then applying for the visa itself is actually really, really fast. The whole process is actually really fast. As long as you already have your I-20 and you already pay your service fee. This is another new topic. We have not talked about service fee. So basically, students who want to study in the US, they need to pay this one service fee. It's is a one-time payment for all international students. Basically, the website is fmjfee.com. If Santika can help me, copy paste the link, because you definitely need to pay for that. And how much is the fee, Santika? I don't have it on my talking points here yet.
Sorry, Fina, I was typing, so I couldn't really focus on what you're saying. So what fee do you need?
Service fee.
Service fee is $350, and you will have to pay. You have to print the receipt to go to the bank to pay it. So I'm just gonna copy where you need to pay the service fee. It's fmjfee.com. So I'm pasting it on the Zoom chat box here. But if you're not in the Zoom, you can simply kind of like FMJ fee. So that fee is EE.com. So you just go there and then put in all of the information necessary, but the fee is $350. Okay.
And then, basically, you need your I-20, and then you will need that service fee to basically move forward with the visa application fee. So the visa application process, the website ustraveldocs.com/ID, which I'm going to, if Santika can also help me copy paste that website, is going to be your best friend. Why? Because we with EducationUSA, we are not part of the visa consular section, so oftentimes we are not allowed to basically just kind of give out information where we don't know if it's true. But any latest update is going to be on that website, ustraveldocs.com/ID, ID as in for Indonesia. So all of the latest update, they're going to put it there. If they are not available on certain dates because of public holidays and what have you, it's going to be in that website. All of the information about basically what we've been sharing about the whole visa process is also there. If you want to know more about the visa fee and everything, with F1, there's another new fee. I never know how to pronounce it, reciprocity, but there is this new fee that is only for F1 applicants. That is how much, Santika, for the reciprocity fee?
It's $220. But it's also Yeah, and it's also for only for F1 or F2 student visas. So if you
Only for
are in
F1.
the yeah, if you are applying for the J1 or J2, you don't have to pay for the reciprocity fee.
And then how much is the visa itself?
$160. So I'll just paste all of the steps that you have mentioned along with the fee, Fina, in
Awesome.
the Zoom chat
In the
box.
chat? Yeah, awesome. So
Yeah.
so basically, when you are ready to apply for the visa, you already have your I-20 or you already have your DS 2019, and then you already pay your service fee. And like, don't forget, like what Santika said, you want to print that out. What we're going to do is, the first step for me personally, I like to just fill in the DS 160 form because it's quite long. Basically, they are asking a lot of information about us. If you've been in the US for the past, a few years, they want to know like where or all of this information. So it's quite long, but the good news is that you can actually save that document. So it doesn't mean that you have to sit down and then fill everything like in one sitting. You can always save it later on, and then don't forget to upload the your headshot, your passport photo. So you can basically just go and sell US for US passport because the size is kind of like different than other countries. Particularly for the US. So you want to pay attention to that. And then it's really nice because the DS 160 will kind of like check with you automatically if you got like the correct size, and don't forget also to bring the hard copy of your passport photo when you are, enter the US embassy for the interview because then that photo will be in your visa. Okay. So finish the DS 160 first. And again, that's something that you can actually get the form from the ustraveldocs.com. So do that, save it. You're going to get the confirmation number, and then you're going to want to print out everything of those DS 160 and then bring it to the US Embassy on the day of the interview. Okay, DS 160. Okay, and then what you want to also do next is that signed up. So if you open the website, the ustraveldocs.com/ID, you will see some kind of like a login section in the front page. You will want to sign up for that because then we're going to use that when you log in. We're going to use that for you to schedule the interview. But in order for you to schedule the interview, you will want to pay the visa first, and then so you want to get in the login page. And then there will be, a section where, okay, I want to apply for the visa and what have you. Just follow. It's very straightforward. It's not like confusing or anything. But if you find it confusing, of course, let us know. It is quite straightforward. Basically, I want to schedule the interview, that this is going to be your first time applying for the visa or something. And then they are going to ask you to pay for the visa. And they are going to give you the virtual account number. And so basically, you're going to use that virtual account number to pay the visa, right? And the most common one is that people go to, I don't know, Santika, if you get a chance to take a look, but I know CIMB Niaga is one of the banks, but I remember many years ago, Permata Bank is also one of the lists, but I don't know if they still have Permata Bank now or just CIMB Niaga. Do you want to share something about that, Santika?
Yeah, so actually, I just checked with someone who just applied for the student visa really recently, and because due to the pandemic, I'm thinking, it doesn't make sense if they only allow bank payments, like you have to go to the bank to pay. So I just kind of follow up on that, and it turns out the good news is that you now can do the EFT, electronic fund transfer, so you don't have to go to the bank and pay it. You can just transfer it electronically, and then I'm assuming the next part will be the same. You still need to kind of like maybe print the receipt or you just need the receipt number to make the DS 160 form. So yeah, either way, you need the receipt number or any sort of number that you need to put in the DS 160 form. Okay, that's it, Fina, from me.
Great. So where were we? Wow, I'm looking just, like Santika just talked for like a few seconds and I'm looking at the questions, and whoa, there are a lot of
Yeah, we
questions.
have so
And
many.
very technical too. We're going to get to all these questions, and we're going to answer, if you know the answer for sure. But I'm looking at Purnia's question here. David, our colleague at the embassy, is in the house and basically helping us answering some of the question. To be completely honest with you, I don't know the answer for Purnia's question. David, if you probably know, basically, and maybe this is not only for Kurnia, but maybe for some other people, is it possible if our visa is on different passport? For example, is it possible if my J1 visa is in my ordinary passport, but I ask the immigration to stamp on my service passport? David, if you can help us, please. It's very technical. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know, Santika, do you have the answer to that? And I'm pretty sure there are some other people who are in the same situation because, they have their what we call that kind of visa when you work for the government? Yeah.
Paspor dinas ya atau apa ya?
Yeah, paspor dinas. Yeah.
So it's very technical, and I think you should kind of like consult that to the visa council directly in the U.S. embassy, because we have the email, and I can share that right here with you, Purnia. But it's I don't know I don't have the answer as well, because I'm assuming that the directions will be very clear on which visa that will be issued to the passport, like what passport you use to apply for the visa. That's the one that they will issue the visa on. So it's not like you have two passport, but you can choose which one you want to issue the visa on. So it's like the one that you apply for that they will issue. But I'm not sure if your passport dinas will be eligible for applying the visa for student ya, apalagi J1. Not sure. But yeah, you can check real quick with the visa council. Okay.
Awesome.
And
good.
Yeah, if David can share, if David have anything to add, you need to check on our chat box here. Okay.
Yeah. It's great. Oh my God, the questions are amazing. Well, mostly it's all about visa. We got a problem here.
I'm struggling. And I'm struggling with some technical issues here because it's very laggy. So when I'm typing, it's just it's not doing the real time thing, and I'm struggling to just put this in. But yeah, I'll find a way.
Cool.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. Okay. I want to kind of like mark some of the questions that we can actually because the whole idea is I want to kind of like move on after we basically answer all of the visa questions, and then we can move on to like the fun stuff that is finding housing, right? But let's pause on that for now, and then kind of like look at some of the questions here. I think the question from Ahmad udah dijawab dengan sama David. Is it really necessary to bring all previously owned passport for visa interview? I lost one of my expired passport, and I think David said no, right? Yeah, David basically said actually you don't have to bring all passport. You may bring the one that you think will support your visa application. For example, passport with many travel history, passport with previous US visa. Thanks, David, for answering that question. So of course, this question is also applicable to everyone. So
I have a bit to add on that, Vina, because based on my personal experience, I had a new passport at the time when I want to apply for the student visa, and I have to bring my previous passport because the new visa is literally the new passport is literally blank. So they will need something to see that you have a travel history and whatever. So I need to bring my old visa, my old passport. So if that's the case for you, if you are you have a new passport and you want to, have your visa on that new passport, then you need to bring your old passport that has some, travel marks on it. Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
Right. So let me just go to the question list here. Stephen and Trista already asked how long does it take for the visa F1. I think it's answered.
Yeah, we already answered that. Thank you. And then and then something I mark it with green. That's something that we can actually touch upon later on. So, but yeah, like Ahmad, we already answered that question. sorry guys, we kind of like do something like a little bit behind here because we just have a lot of questions and I just want to make sure that we answer all of this question. And if you have previous history, and this is from Nur Aziz Octavia one, and if you have previous history entering the US or holds active visa, is that something that we need to be aware for interview? Well, basically, any previous history entering the US, that's the information that you're going to give on your DS 160. So, but I mean, you don't have to like remember exactly, but I mean, oftentimes the interviewer won't ask that question, but they can already see it in the DS 160. Okay. And which, by the way, I don't want to, like talk too much about like the interview process, but what I can share with you, probably some of you are very like nervous or anything, but actually the interview will be very, very, very quick. I want to say probably just like within 3 to 5 minutes. Like seriously, I'm not like lebay or anything. You can even like literally count, like have your, like countdown timer when I say 3 minutes. And then just imagine for that 3 minutes, that's going to be what the interview will last for. Because it's very, very straightforward. But then, the tips is definitely be honest and able to answer some basic questions like, of course, where are you going to study, right? Although they have that information in front of them, but then they kind of like want you to kind of like, explain to them, right? Like what program are you going to get into? You don't want to sound like you're confused or anything. You don't have to be, kind of like nervous, although yes, it's very normal and everything, but I'm pretty sure, like all the interviewers are very nice. Please do speak in English, although they are able to speak in Indonesia, but obviously you're studying in the US, right? So you're going to basically use English and everything. So please use English answering that question, and be aware to kind of, when they ask, so we're going to stay, and then they're going to have some questions like, what are you going to do next after you're done, and what have you, okay? And just, definitely just be honest, be, just calm, and some of the tips that I like to tell people is that because everyone is kind of like already very stiff entering the US embassy.
Yeah.
You don't have to, maybe you can already practice doing it the American way. Just be, I don't know, when you get to the interview booth, just relax and maybe just start the conversation like, hey, how are you doing? Instead of kind of like look very nervous and everything, because trust me, they're going to appreciate that, when you kind of like just very chill and everything, and then just answer it like nicely. And then again, you don't have just, put it in the back of your head that again, like I said earlier, Indonesia is one of the countries where the acceptance rate on student visa is actually really high. So that's good news for us. Okay. What else, Antika? What other question that we can actually?
I can attest to that because I never applied for student visa before I did for the US, right? And I was really nervous, and it was really a strict requirements that your photo has to be in certain color of background and size and whatever. And it makes you nervous, and it's an interview, you don't know who will be asking you questions and what they will ask about. I didn't get any of the PDO, pre-departure orientation, like this. So if if I
consider
had,
yourself really lucky.
So helpful. Exactly. Consider yourself really, really lucky that we do this. This is like kind of like the informal one. We kind of like relax and talk, but we will have the official one later on. PDO is pre-departure orientation. So I think someone asked me in the, directly chat me, not to everyone here. PDO is pre-departure orientation. I think Dika asked this. I mentioned a link before if you want to be invited to the official PDO in a few months that Fina mentioned, like maybe in July. You need to go to that link, and I will paste it again in the Zoom chat box. You can, if you already got accepted, you want to go to that link and insert your data because we don't have your data yet, so that we can invite you. Okay, but yeah, the visa interview is really quick, and I didn't expect that it is that simple. So some of the questions that they probably will ask is like, oh, where will you live, in the States when you get there? Where will you live? So you need to figure that out before you actually go for the student visa interview, because then if you cannot answer that, it will make them, you're not that ready. You need to be able to answer, like maybe, oh, I already signed up for the dorm, or I already have, already looking for apartments, or I want to rent certain apartment and things like that. So you need to have an answer on your plans when you get to the States. And you can, and you want to be able to demonstrate that you are able to speak English quite well and understandable. So if you're really nervous, then you will not be able to do well in the talking and answering. So you want to do your best not to be that nervous. The questions are really simple, but what you need to be preparing really well is bringing the documents, complete documents. So even if it's not in the list, you probably want to consider bringing it. Mungkin yang kayak letter of guarantee, atau kayak letter of acceptance. If you want to be very well prepared, you can print those out. And when they ask for something that's seeking proof, then you can show that. And yeah, I think that's that for me for the interview itself. But it was really simple, and I didn't expect that. I bring a lot of thick documents, but I didn't actually. I only kind of show my 20 and then some questions, and then that's it. So yeah, it was. And Vina also mentioned that our rate of student visa acceptance is really high compared to a lot of other countries. So as long as you bring in original, authentic documents and being honest and have preparations once you get to the States that you really are going to be their student in the United International Student there, you will have no problem. And of course, the basic stuff, you want to make sure probably all of your passport and all other documents have the same name. So you don't want to have first and last name in your passport, and you have first, middle, and last name in your I-20. I'm not sure how strict it is, but sometimes it can be questionable. Like they could ask you why is the name is different? Things like that. But yeah, you want to be careful on that uniformity. All of the documents that you have. Okay, I think that's
awesome. We keep getting more and more questions, Antika, and I'm afraid already we still have 1 hour, but I don't know. Do we have time?
I think we will focus on the questions instead of our talking.
Sure, let's do that. Okay. Let's talk about the housing later on. We got Kurnia here, one of my advisees. Hi, Kurnia. Thanks for joining this session. Basically asking how about the SSN? Is it mandatory to apply for that when we arrive in the US? So SSN, if you don't know, so guys, I'm telling you, I'm giving you a heads up earlier, right? There are going to be a lot of singkatan apa bahasa gitu, kayak a lot of
abbreviation.
So bear with us here. It's great if you can get a chance to kind of make a note on that. We got SSN, the S2019, the S160, F1, and all that stuff, SEVIS and what have you. So SSN, if you don't know what that is Social Security number. You don't basically have to worry about, I need to apply for SSN. SSN is basically, I don't know, maybe a lot. Yeah. Is it really? Okay, so you can go to FMPP. That's nice. So yeah, you don't have to, I don't know, maybe many years ago, SSN is something that's quite common for people to get. But you don't have to worry about SSN now unless you are planning to have some kind of plan to kind of work. And don't forget, guys, as an international student, we are not allowed to work outside campus, only work on campus 20 hours a week. Okay. And if you're planning to do that at some point during your study, then yes, you are going to apply for SSN. But if you just arrive there and then you think, I need to apply for SSN, the answer is no, you don't need that. Okay. So hopefully that answered, Kurnia. And then Clara here. Yeah, Santika.
And you don't have to worry about how to apply for the SSN once you get the on-campus job or whatever job that you got, which is yang legal. you don't have to worry about applying the SSN because they will, have the letter and everything ready. You just need to go for kind of like mini interview as well, and then that's it. Okay. So intinya, if you need to have the job first before worrying about the SSN. That's it. Okay?
Exactly. Because for you to apply for SSN, you need to kind of like go to this, of the office. One of the offices there for them to issue the SSN, and then you need to have that proof from the university that you are going to work there. Yeah. From Clara Adistia here. Haika, probably David already answered this question also. Haika, sorry, I probably skipped it. How do we know whom our DSO is? Is it stated on the I-20 form once it's issued? Technically, yes. In your I-20, there will be a contact person. And then anything that happens when you have any problem or what have you, when you want to leave the country and then coming back, and everything that is related to like your status in the US, you are going to stick with that one person. So yeah, it's stated in the I-20, but even if it's not stated, even if you don't have the I-20 yet, you can you can directly ask the university, like, who is my DSO? Can I get her email? So yeah, hopefully that answered. Let's see here.
Next we have Monica.
Yeah, we got Monica. Can we fill the DS-160 even before we get the DS-2019? The answer is yes. So you can definitely fill in the DS-160 and then you can save it. And then you can come back to that DS-160 form later on.
So if you are kind of like, waiting for your I-20 or DS 2019, if you want to, speed up the process, like you don't want to wait for each of the things to be done, you can, fill in the DS-160 form for now while waiting for your I-20 or DS 2019. And once you get the I-20 or DS 2019, then you can go directly to maybe pay and everything, and then schedule your visa interview as soon as possible, because the slot is filling up fast, Vinaya, as what we heard. So you can help, speed up that process by doing that. Okay. And next we have Kurnia tadi udah yang different passports. Steven,
I'm going to apply.
I'm going to apply upcoming LPDP scholarship, June or July. Is it possible to apply for the visa after receiving the scholarship, or maybe I can apply for the visa from now?
David, David is already answering this. The question, the answer is definitely wait after you get the scholarship and then apply for the visa.
Yep, because you will need the LOA and everything for the letter of guarantee. Yeah, so everything is kind of like step by step before you, when you're still waiting for acceptance and scholarship, it's kind of step by step. You cannot skip or jump to other steps before that. So you need to get that first, okay? And for Trista, if we will be traveling with a parent, is the process to apply for visa the same? So I think there are no, there's just one option. If your parents is just, kind of like accompanying you, I think that's going to be tourist visa, Vinaya.
Yeah, David answered that question as well. So if you are bringing your parents. So we also get a question about, what about if I bring my spouse and everything? So if you are going to bring your parents is basically going to apply for a B1 or B2 visa, or basically a tourist visa. And the good news is that you can apply and do the interview together. So it doesn't have to be separate. So you can actually do the interview, that you're going to be in that interview process together with you and your parents or whoever else you're going to bring when you're going there. Okay, so cool. And then if you are going to bring your spouse, meaning that assuming that your spouse is going to stay with you. If the spouse is not going to stay with you, basically just kind of like stay there for, I don't know, like maybe like a month or something, and then coming back to Indonesia, then yes, the same, is going to be B1, B2 visa. But if you are bringing your spouse to actually stay with you during your study, then it's going to be, if you're applying for F1, your spouse is going to get F2. And if you're on J1, your spouse is you're going to apply for J2 visa. The process is basically the same. So your spouse will receive I-20 and then for F1, and then also going to receive DS 2019 for J2. Okay, so it's basically going to be the same as if the spouse is also studying, but not. It's just to kind of like get the spouse visa. Okay, and then Trista, hopefully I answered that question. Is the process to convert the visa the same? Basically, the process is the same. It's just that the type of the visa is going to be different. Okay, your parents are going to be on B1, B2, but then you can actually also start fill everything together. Like when you do the DS 160, you can do it for your parents as well. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here?
I think we got repeated questions, like how long it takes for the process of F2 or J2 visa. So
basically the same.
Yeah.
For Stephen, basically the same. Yeah. So David answered earlier that it's going to take about 3 to 4 days for the whole process, and it's actually really that fast. I mean, 3 to 4 days, like
after
as in
the interview.
Yeah. So it's going to be fast. So basically, after the interview, you are going to expect, what do you want to see the interviewer to give you is that one slip of paper in the color of white, because that means you got accepted. But then there's also the is it the yellow or green color? I forgot, meaning that there are some missing documents. It's not like you're getting rejected or anything. There are some missing documents, meaning that you got to leave the embassy and then kind of like come back later on to kind of like bring that missing documents. And what we want to avoid is, of course, the pink/red type of paper, because then that means our visa got rejected, unfortunately. But I rarely see that from students. There's a question about, how can we get a hold of a visa consular contact if you have any question that we are not able to answer from this session. You can email Jack Consul, JAK Consul, CONSUL @state.gov. So this is probably for you guys if you're watching the session from different platform. But we can, Santika already copy paste that email. Awesome.
So
what else?
You can, if you have technical questions on visa application, it's best that you consult or ask directly to the visa consul in the U.S. Embassy, because then sometimes they have kind of like updated information on that we haven't received the update yet. So it's best to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
I think I'm running out of questions.
I know. Yeah, I'm looking at. Maybe this is the last one for visa. Okay. Can we agree on that, guys? No more visa questions, so that we can move on to other questions. But no, if you have any other visa questions, just let us know still, and then we probably answer it like later on. But one last question from Henry Gomuljo regarding visa. Do you recommend using F1 or J1 to study in the US? Henry, is really it really depends. I mean, I don't know. Are you applying for masters, or is it PhD, or is it bachelor's? If you're doing bachelor's, and mostly if you're planning on doing like self-funding, your visa will be F1, unless you are under some kind of like scholarship from the U.S. government or Indonesian government. Most likely, probably it will be J1, depending on the sponsor. If you are applying for master's degree, again, if you're planning to apply for LPDP, for example, we know that starting this year, they require the awardees to actually apply for J1. So basically, we don't really have a lot of options here. And if you're applying for Fulbright, also your option will be J1 as well. So in terms of like, do you recommend whether F1 or J1? The way I look at it, I mean, they are basically the same, as in they are both non-immigrant visa. They are, they allow you to end your stay in the US with some kind of like a degree, because assuming that's our goal, right? So, you just need to kind of like figure out, which sponsor for the scholarship that you're going to be under. I personally used F1 many, many years ago, Santika as well, when we did our bachelor's degree in the US. And what I like about F1, which again is basically the same with J1, to be completely honest with you, is just that with F1, you are going to get 5 years valid visa, but it doesn't mean that if you're doing 2 years for master's and then because I have like 3 more years, I can stay. No, it's just that it's really nice knowing that, you got just like 5 years. So for example, if you're done with your study after 2 years and then you want to continue doing OPT, another abbreviation, maybe if you want us to talk a little bit about OPT, let us know. OPT is basically optional practical training under F1 student visa. So you're basically still under student visa. But technically with OPT, after you graduate, you can kind of work, but then it's very broad. You can also do volunteer, you can also do internship, you can do full paid, paid work, unpaid, full-time, part-time, as long as it is related to your major. So you can't, graduate and then work as a barista in one of the coffee shops in whatever states you are in. So you are not allowed to do that. So it has to be something that is related to your major. And what is nice about it, you are still under the student visa, and then knowing that with, F1 visa, you have 5 years, so you don't have to think about, I need to renew it, right? With J1, you are going to get 1 year visa. And then probably all of us, that's going to be a problem. How about like if my program is in 2 years? Here's the thing. As long as so let's say you are applying for J1, right? And then your program is 2 years. As long as you are not leaving the US, be it maybe you want to do Canada, for vacation or what have you, or South America, but as long as you are not leaving the US, although your J1 visa is already expired, you are still having a legal status and valid status to stay in the US. Once you step out the US, again, like even if it's only Canada or like Mexico, you need to renew the J1. Okay, so that's the thing about J1 visa. But with J1, there's also the equivalent of OPT called AT, or academic training. Although they have this kind of like a timeline on how long you can actually do it, depending on how long your program is. It's very kind of like technical. But with OPT, you are guaranteed to do 12 months of OPT. And the good news is, if you are under STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math, you get another 24 months extension. So you get a total of 3 months. And all of this thanks to President Obama when he was still the president, because he was the one who kind of, fight for this to kind of like get an extension. So only specifically for STEM. Okay. And so that's that. Hopefully that answered. So, Antika, how are you doing?
So what Vina meant is 3 years, not 3 months. Jadi jangan bilang.
Oh, sorry, did I say months?
Yeah, you did say. That's fine.
I'm sorry, guys.
Additional of 24 months, jadi tambah 2 tahun if you are in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, gitu. But of course, everything is subject to the how do I say this? It's subject to your job and your employer. So even if you got 3 years total, but it also depends on your employment status and if whether or not they are going to continue hiring you or not, and things like that. Okay, that's just the time limitnya lebih panjang, but it also depends on your employment status. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And real quick here, Henry asking, is it true that J1 will not allow us to do OPT? OPT is only for F1. So there is no OPT for J1. For J1, they call it AT, academic training. It's not necessarily the same as OPT, but it's more or less the same. With J1, you're actually allowed to work on campus. So J1, F1, you are allowed to work on campus. If you are thinking about working, probably a lot of people, I'm not using the US because other countries, it's easy for us to work. Well, then fair enough. But the way I look at it is fair for the US to have that regulation where you can only work for 20 hours a week, because you are there to study. You are not there to work. I know that some other countries allow you to work whatever hours that you can do outside the campus, but not in the US. So if you're thinking about, I want to work. So that's probably student visa is not for you. if you get what I'm saying here. So yeah, 20 hours a week, that's going to be your maximum if you want to be in the US as a student and only on campus. Okay? How are we doing, Santika? Do we have any other talking points that we can? Santika is kind of like missing here.
All right,
Okay,
I'm back.
so-
I'm sorry. I was just trying to fix the slow-mo Zoom
Okay,
here.
good. Okay, cool.
But yeah, we should move to apa? Housing ya sekarang, Vina ya.
Housing, let's do housing, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got a question in the beginning from
Questions on housing. I think we got that on top here. Any
Yep.
tips for how to choose apartment in the United States? Interesting.
Yeah, so Santika, am I connect?
Hi, Vina. Can you hear me? Hello. I think Vina is disconnected for now. So guys, I will talk a bit about how you can choose apartment in the United States. So you basically want to know your budget first and foremost before you choose any apartment. You want to choose the price that suits your budget, of course, but one of the tips that I find really, really useful is sharing your apartment because then you can save up a lot of the rent cost because you are going to split it, especially if, let's say if that's like 2-bedroom apartment and you don't mind living in kind of like the living room and you want to save up a lot of money, then you can try to find housemates who wants to take the bedrooms and you probably want to be in the living room. That's just some thrifty tips from me, but that's what I did because I find it quite such a good deal. And the living room is quite spacious. So you need to see how big is the apartment first before deciding to do that, of course. And another part for picking an apartment is the location. So if you think that you don't want to be too far away from the campus, like maybe if the travel or the commute time is like an hour, it's probably too much for you, then you want to find something closer. I'm sure near the campus area there are a lot of apartment buildings and complex for you to choose from, and usually you can try to find out from the university website. Usually some of the university that I have been researching on have this recommendation on apartment or housing complex nearby that you can check out. You can check that out, that area out, the rent fee and everything. They do provide that information most of the time, so don't worry too much about trying to find which one is better. I think the best option for your apartment, if you choose to live in an apartment and you don't have any housemate yet or anything like that, it's best to find something that only suits your need. You don't need to have like extra bedroom or something like that. And you probably can find something that is on a shorter lease time. So kind of like maybe try a month rent before deciding to sign the contract for the whole year for apartments, especially if you never see the apartment unit directly, because because this is PDO, I want to kind of like fit the scenario where you haven't go to US and you're still here. You're trying to find an apartment to live when you arrive. You don't want to jump into 1-year contract before going into the unit directly and see if you like it or not and whatever. So my tips, if you want to live in the apartment when you first arrive, is probably try looking for monthly rent. Other websites like Airbnb and similar websites like that helps you rent an apartment on a monthly basis. And if you can verify, the owner and the payment is easier for you to do on those kind of websites. You don't have to worry too much about fraud and everything like that. But also make sure that it's verified, okay? You don't want to pay a lot of money and then it turns out to be you cannot live there. And
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah.
Hi, Tina,
Okay.
welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Sorry about the
I was
technical issue.
yeah, I was just sharing on how I do thrifty apartment living in back in the States. So I said if you don't mind living in kind of like a living room or whatever, and it's a spacious living room they have, and you can get, other housemates who wants to take the bathroom, go ahead. And so you can save a lot of money.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
absolutely. Because
being thrifty.
yeah,
But
because
yeah,
let's be real. Yeah, because let's be real. It's kind of like can be kind of
it's a
struggling
lot of money.
to yeah, a
And
lot of expenses.
and I just fit in the scenario where, because this is PDO, I'm assuming that you never been to the States or you haven't surveyed the area yet. You don't want to jump into 1 year lease or 2 year contract for rent of the apartment. Just try to find the monthly rent first from like third party websites where the payment is also easier and you can verify the owner of the apartment and the host. I think Airbnb call it host. I forgot, but yeah, yeah, you can try a monthly basis first, and if you love that apartment building or complex, then you can try to find maybe another unit that wants to give you a year lease with a better price or something. And I think Ahmad here have a follow-up question. Whenever I look at apartment websites, the requirements to apply is for me to have a social security number or at least US phone number while I'm not a US citizen, so I don't have either of those. So how can I apply for housing? So yeah, that's what I was saying, because if you want to jump to the lease contract, you will need a lot of things. So maybe your financial statement. What I remember is the financial statement, and if you are, you also need kind of like to verify like you are an international student, so you probably need a copy of your passport and everything like that. So the requirements for you to rent as an international student is going to be different from if you are a US citizen or a green card holder. So you don't have to worry about that first. And of course for now, because you don't have a US number yet, US phone number yet, and you don't have a social security number, so you cannot like just rent it from that apartment websites. What you need to do is like what I said, you probably want to try the monthly first because you don't have a US phone number yet. You need a platform where you can talk with the owner of the apartment, and you don't need a social security number if you try to rent from that kind of third party websites. And you just need to make sure that they are all verified, like it's legit, rent platform. So yeah, the requirements is different if you are going to rent when you are an international student. Like we said, social security number is only applicable if you get a job in the United States, especially if you're a student, it's only on campus. And that also is going to be different because the income is not something that you work full-time with, you are a student. So the income is going to be different and it's going to affect on how eligible you are to rent, okay? So yeah, I don't want you to stick to that requirements on the apartment websites. Instead, try to find other platform that make it easier for you to rent on a monthly basis first. Okay?
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then especially now that we have Airbnb, that is actually really ideal. I'm pretty sure there are some other, I don't know, is there any thing?
There are, like, I think a lot of other websites, traveling websites, actually follow the steps of Airbnb. So now you can try to rent apartment from a website that's usually you use to book hotel rooms. On a monthly basis, and that's nice. So
we're not recommending anyone to like make a lease all the way to like a year right away when you're in Indonesia. So what you want to do is probably the way I look at it is just kind of like gather as many as prospect apartments and then make a list of it so that when you get there you can actually visit on your own if they have the open house, and then you can decide yourself if you like the location or what have you. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
If the commute is suitable for you. And
absolutely. Yeah. And then also another, like, it depends on where you are going to go. So for example, like if it's in a state where there are already a number of Indonesian students, maybe you can kind of like reach out to them and then see if they are going to let go their lease because they are going back to Indonesia. A lot of stories like that when they are about to, go back to Indonesia and then they kind of like sublease the lease to like someone else who are coming in. Also check with Facebook group from the university itself for that, probably for that specific department, because there are actually, because Facebook is still like a huge thing in the US. I mean, I don't know if maybe it is still in Indonesia, but there's something that usually there are a lot of incoming students from all over the world, by the way, which is like really nice, who are looking for housing. So maybe you can kind of, have a chat with them, and then maybe those people can be your future housemates, right? And then the last thing that I can think of is to reach out Permias, of course. So there's a website, right? Santika for Permias Nasional. So Permias Nasional is kind of like the head, the umbrella of Permias. Permias is Persatuan Mahasiswa Indonesia di Amerika Serikat. So it's actually like each state or some of the schools have Permias. So if you happen to have those in your school or in your state, reach out to them, and then they are going to be very happy to help you and welcome you. So the whole point is to kind of like make you feel welcome when you get to the US, right? So that you don't feel like you're alone. That's why we have this kind of session, so that you can hopefully already network one another here. Maybe you already direct message some people and you can connect one another. That's basically what I want to hear, knowing that you don't feel like you're alone, because you are not alone. There are going to be a good flux of Indonesians leaving for the US this coming fall. So it's actually really nice. And so Trista basically asked question, and thank you so much, David, for the answer. Could you talk a bit about the social situation, like safety, finding a job, housing, etc. Now in the US, I guess, especially now with COVID and all the events that have happened. Let me just read out what David has here. Although there is no guarantee that we can be safe anywhere in the world, there are sufficient security systems while you are studying in the US. You may also practice self-protection. It is really, really important, guys, self-protection. Also connect with other Indonesians to get up-to-date information about everything in your area. As the vaccination process in the US is increasing, many job opportunities is also gradually up. I'm thinking like, do I want to add something else? But then I'm like, no, like very on point. Thank you so much, David.
Very on point. Thank you, David. And I just want to add a bit on, I think the question is about safety here, right? So if if you're new in in a new environment, in a new area, what makes sense to me on how I adapt based on my experience is, find a community. So it's for me, it's really important. And whether it's that fellow Indonesians community, or fellow international students community, or whatever community that you can find that you can belong to, there is going to be very helpful, especially at the beginning. So in the very beginning, I don't know, or I forgot if Fina have mentioned this or not, is the international student orientation is really, really important. You don't want to miss that, because that's when you can, get to know other international students. You can get to know fellow Indonesian students who came in at the same time as you, and probably your senior who already been there first before you. You can learn on how you can navigate throughout the campus and how to apply for your classes and courses, who your academic advisor is, and everything like that. So the international student orientation is really, really important. And I think during the pandemic, they probably, if you come in for the international student orientation, but you haven't got vaccinated, you probably need to do quarantine first before you can attend any event or going to campus and whatever. So you probably can try to attend it online. If they have the online option, then you want to sign up for that. Okay, you don't want to forget the student orientation. It's really, really important. I want to emphasize on that. And for safety, I think my only additional tips is just when you get to know people, new friends on campus, and you will know, you can try to maybe ask them, like, if this also applies if you are trying to find apartment or housing options. You can try to ask around which area is safer, and you want to avoid places that is probably kind of like red flags. You don't want to go to those places alone, especially if you go with your friends, then that's probably fine. But if you're going alone, you probably don't want to do that because you are new in that area. Okay. I think that's all
And
from
it's
me.
really, yeah, and it's really amazing, Santika, because on my talking points, the next one that I want to talk about is the vaccine, not necessarily just COVID
Yeah.
vaccine, but vaccine in general. And then the questions that we got here is basically talking about vaccine. So we got Dika here. Do I have to be COVID vaccinated before entering the US? The answer is no. But if you're entering the US with no vaccination, with no vaccination yet, you're going to have to do the self quarantine for 2 weeks, is it? And then you can actually get the COVID vaccine in your campus. Yeah, in your campus.
As for the detailed procedure, I encourage everyone who got accepted in each of the university and program that they are going to check with their program coordinator or advisor or admission officer. Yes. Just ask them on the details, because some university can have different steps, like maybe you need to check in with the university first or something like that, and the procedure for the quarantine itself, where you will be quarantined and everything like that, you need to know before you actually go to the States, or even better if you can get those details as soon as you can. Okay. So yeah, check with them on the details and you will be good to go. But the answer is no. If you are worried, like, oh, I haven't got COVID vaccine, can I go to the States or not to study? The answer is no, you don't have to, but you need to check on the procedure on how to enter United States without being COVID vaccinated from your campus. Okay.
Yep.
And I think we got new questions here. Are there any vaccination requirements to go to the US? It is from Ahmad. I think you know our talking points really well. I don't mean the COVID, as it's not really available. I mean like influenza, polio, and etc. Okay, I think Tina have things.
I do have the notes on that. So basically, you are probably going to be reached out by the receiving it via email or what have you by the student health service from the campus. And then they're going to list out a number of vaccines that you need to take as an international student. And again, you definitely want to follow that regulation, because probably it can be different from one campus to another. But the one that is very common as an international student is definitely the MMRI, and then the hepatitis. Right, but then there is also the TDAP, and I don't know how to pronounce it, varicella. So and Ahmad here mentioned like polio. Again, that's something that is, if the university asks for it, then yes. If not, then basically just follow what the student health service asks you to get the vaccination on. And David just shared with Santika and I last night. Hopefully this can be like valuable information if you are looking for a place to do the vaccines here in Indonesia. There is this one website called imuni.id. If Santika can help me copy paste that, imuni.id. And I think it's not only in Jakarta, but other areas as well. And what is nice about it, they do have a home service. So they can come to your house and then do this kind of vaccine. Yeah. So I think it's cool. It's really nice. It's really nice knowing that. So thanks, David, for that information. Cool.
So, yeah. Just want to enlighten you guys a bit on the vaccine types Vina just mentioned. Mungkin kayak kalian got confused. What is that? Vaccine. Sounds scary, but varicella is chicken pox, cacar air. So
it is chicken pox.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Cacar air, cacar ular, whatever you name it, but cacar. So if you got that vaccinated, then you can still get chicken pox, but it probably will not be as worse as bad as if you haven't get vaccinated. And yeah, the chance of you probably getting it is kind of lower if you got vaccinated. And MMRI is I'm still learning as well. It's I don't know how to pronounce this.
The measles and
measles,
the one that
mumps, and rubella.
the one that we got when we were still
Yeah, when
little.
you're still very young and little, yeah. So yeah, you need to make sure that you got all of the requirements on the vaccination list that the university admission gave to you. Some of them specifically ask for like a certain vaccination cannot be older than how many years before. Jadi, I think last year our one of my advisees got accepted. The university asked for a very recent vaccine. Jadi kayak if you got vaccinated like 5 years ago, they want you to re-vaccinated, get vaccinated again, and show them the proof and everything like that. So that's probably if you have already checked on that and you maybe want to see how much it will cost, and if you plan on budgeting and everything, then you want to add that into the cost of after your pre-departure cost. I want to say orientation, but orientation is free with us.
Yeah.
So Fina, would you recommend? I think we are pretty much done covering almost everything, and we still have about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, we got Dika. We actually got Dika here. Does the bank statement for the visa have to have enough amount to cover tuition fee and apartment rent for 1 year? That's a good question, Dika. Thanks. I think we have not covered that. So, oh no, I think we already answered. Basically, you need to have a proof when you're doing the interview that you have a sufficient amount for covering your everything while you're in class for 1 year. But if you're kind of like, wait, but how much? That's going to be in your I-20. Is it in the? I think it's also in the.
It should be on your I-20, but it's that's like the minimum amount that you need to have in equivalent, approximate equivalent of the US dollar that you need to have in your financial statement or bank statement. But again, if you got like any scholarship or something like that, then probably it will be less than the year cost. But do check with your admission officer and advisors, and especially if you already got like Fulbright or LPDP, because those with letter of guarantee, they will issue letter of guarantee, so you don't need financial statement or bank statement anymore. So
for visa purposes, visa interview purposes, basically you just need to follow what it is in the I-20. But then yes, like Santika said, the real expenses that you're going to spend, it can be less or it can be more. But again, for visa purposes, that will be the amount that you can kind of like use as the benchmark.
Fina, I think we need the bank statement. We need to submit the bank statement in order to get the I-20 or DS. We need the bank statement to give to the campus in order to get the I-20. So if we are asking about we follow how much in the I-20, I think that's for probably the later part. So if you are confused, like you want to get the I-20, they ask for a bank statement and you don't know how much you need, you probably can just ask them like how much minimum I need, or you can just check on the website like cost of attendance. Usually they call it cost of attendance, and usually there's per year. You want to make sure you look at the international student part, not the other part, like because it's a lot of difference there. You want to check on the international cost of attendance for the yearly. So that's the approximate amount. But if you are like not sure, or you probably think, is this negotiable? Then you can email the admission officer or anyone you are in contact with after your acceptance. Okay?
Right. Cool.
Yeah. And okay, what are the links that I need to share again? Oh, I just when Fina mentioned Permias, I already shared the link on the website, and they are very, very active on Instagram these days. And we had collaboration with them in recently, not long ago. It feels not long ago, but I think it's been a few months for now. But yeah, you can reach them out if you have any questions on, hey, if you can connect me with Indonesian student in University A, B, or C, then they're all around the United States. Don't worry. So you just need to contact them and introduce yourself and ask them to try to connect you. Or if you have any housing questions, like which area is good and everything, and you need some help from fellow Indonesian students in that area, I think they will be very gladly to help you. So you can go to their Instagram and their website. I suggest to go to their Instagram and find their contacts, like email or something. Then you can get going from there. Okay. And would you recommend, because today we have a lot of attendees in Zoom that share that they got accepted and everything, but they're probably not in our accepted list yet. So I was trying to get their data just to ensure that we can invite them on our yearly PDO, the official one.
Nice.
So should I share the link on the admission results? What do you think?
Oh yes, absolutely. So that is so this is kind of like the form that I have not, or we have not kind of like shared to a lot of our advisees yet, because like I said, like in the beginning, that we're going to share that probably like in early June. But now, since we already have the free PDO, and some of you are already joining the session, which we really appreciate, I think we can share this form for you guys to fill in. So if you have the time to fill it, we really, really appreciate that. If you can spare some time for us, because we would love to get in touch with you guys. So Santika and we already have a separate database for people who already get accepted. So yeah, so it will take probably about like 3 minutes to fill the whole thing. We just want to know if you get accepted, where to, if you're under any specific scholarship. That will be terrific if you can help us fill this form. So you're sending it the chat, yeah, Santika?
Yes, it's bit.ly. If you're not in Zoom, I'm just gonna read that because I think a lot of people are also watching from other platforms. It's bit.ly/edusa Indo admissions. EduSA Indo admission results. So admission is double S and results with S in the back. Okay. If you got confused, you can email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. And I'll also share our Zoom meeting later on, because we love meeting you in Zoom one-on-one, advising and everything. And Fina, I think it's fair to inform them that the official pre-departure orientation is going to be much more than this. And I think we are planning to invite the Visa Council. So yeah, it's going to be more details. Am I right?
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, we are planning to actually bring in definitely a number of speakers, important speakers who are going to share with us. We are thinking on, probably we can also invite someone, like an Indonesian student who already in the US, or, it's going to be terrific. I mean, this is that one video is think of it as kind of like the follow-up of what we have today. But today, of course, is basically just like very laid back, no PowerPoint slides or anything like that. Basically just me, Santika, and David, who is helping us in the chat, which is thank you so much. Abe here from Zoom says, this event is terrific with a lot of C. Thank you guys, and you're welcome. It's our pleasure. I really hope that you guys found it really helpful. We have Nur Aziz Octaviawan here. Can you give some references about health insurance and how to choose the affordable for student? I believe if you're a student, it's actually really nice if you can just basically follow the health insurance that is being referred by the university, because they do usually already work with some kind of like a third party. But then of course you also have the option to pick yourself. But I mean, me personally, the way I look at it, I'm just, like follow whatever the university is, like recommend us to get. How about you, Santika? How do you see this?
So yeah, for insurance, I had an experience from one of the advisees that she already got health insurance in here, and it says internationally covered. So she go ahead and ask the the admissions office, and if she can use her health insurance instead of paying another one in what the campus recommended. And I think it was approved. Like they kind of like accept that health insurance, that the one that she already have, so she don't have to pay the health insurance in the States anymore. So if you already have one, and if you know it will be more affordable compared to if you paid those the one that is recommended by your campus, then you can go ahead with that. But the thing with insurance is it's not like you can just sign up anytime you want and get approved and will be always approved. With insurance, it's like when you apply, you need them to approve you. So it will be quite risky if you. So you need to come to the admission office or the campus if you already have the health insurance, not if you just want to apply first and then tell them, hey, I will apply, but you need to show them that I already have it. Okay, then that way they probably can consider you can be waived or not from the one that they recommended. But if not, if you're in the process of still applying for the health insurance here that can cover you when you are in the States, then that's a different issue. It will take time and everything. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated. Yep, I think that's that. If you already have, you can ask. But if not, you probably go ahead with the one that they recommended in the States. All right, I think that's that for me. And if you
Awesome.
need, yeah, and if you need the student visa application step by step, because I cannot paste it here, it's just getting jumbled and messed up here in the chat box. If you need the step by step, the updated one that we talked about and discussed about today, you can email and ask that that step by step to apply the student visa to our email, jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. Okay.
Awesome.
Alright.
So what else should we talk about here? So
Yeah,
Abe
let's do that.
shared something in chat, which I would like to check on that first, but I assume that is not the latest update. Maybe this is something, the information from like before when they are still not open. But we are checking with David here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is about the visa. But anyway,
So,
we are done with
yeah.
visa for now. So let's move on to like another thing here. So well, basically from
Yeah, I'm just gonna add a bit on. Well, last year during the pandemic, the visa got halted, but it was resumed. So I'm not sure if this is the most updated one from Bay Setiawan here, but yeah. David here replied, as of January 28, the United States Embassy in Jakarta and Consulate General Surabaya have resumed services for all non-immigrant visa categories at reduced capacity. So yeah.
Yeah. So Abe, I don't know if if you can share with us the link where you got this information on. Probably you can share with me because I mean like what David said.
If you got this. Yeah, if you got that update last year when they are, in the pause, then that's what happened. But now, as of January 28th this year, it has going back again. They started again for the non-immigrant visa categories and application. So yeah, maybe that's also yeah, probably we did it. Well, we won't know that, but yeah. So yeah, I think that's
possible.
Yeah. Fina, I think we still have one more event this month. Is if you are in the if you know anyone in high school and they're planning to go to the States, I think that event is going to be very suitable. It's about going to community college and successfully transfer to highly selective university on 27th May. So if you are interested, you can go to America website and check that out. And also, we would like to share the Zoom, Zoom meeting for the advising,
Yes,
I'm going to.
which I was actually planning to
Uh-huh.
show that in the beginning, but I keep
Uh-huh.
forgetting. So I am just going to share screen with you
Yes,
right
please. Thank
now.
you.
Yeah, so here is our advising basically information. So again, we are with Education USA at America, but very happy that this morning our friend David over at the US Embassy, also with Education USA, is joining us. So again, my name is Fina and I have Santika here. Both of us are the Education USA advisors in at America, Pacific Place, Jakarta. Our advising hours are basically every single day from 1 until 9 p.m. We are doing fully digital as of today, since last year, which is, I found it really nice because we can actually meet as more advisees from all over Indonesia, basically not just those who are in Jakarta. So this is the Zoom ID, but Santika will also help me with the link. So our advising system is first come first serve. So technically, you don't have to make an appointment with us. Just as long as the advising room is available, we can let you in. And when you are in, you're going to be in the waiting room, and then you're going to either you're going to receive a chat with from us if telling you guys if you are still on a current session or what have you. Okay. If you don't feel like just jump into Zoom because you are shy and don't want to see one of us just yet, you can definitely email us first to our email center. That is jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. And don't worry, guys, we are replying your email. We're not just going to read it and just, so we're going to reply your email. So yeah, this is the event today. We already covered it. So basically, we are really, really excited that you guys can join the session. Really appreciate your time. Congratulations once again for those of you who already got accepted, but maybe some of you are joining the session right now, still in the process of application, but then you kind of like want to jump ahead listening to this topic so that you can kind of like understand so much more when you get accepted later on, hopefully. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. Santika, do you want to add anything else?
Last tip, I think, on housing. You don't want to, look at third-party websites like, I want to mention the name. I hope it's fine. It's Craigslist. I don't, yeah, like Craigslist. You need to be really, really careful. You don't want to just pay any deposit or anything just based on any listing on Craigslist because it's a lot of cases happened in the past. So I don't want you guys to jump into such a good deal on that website and go ahead and pay the money. So yeah, really, really careful before paying any deposit, especially for the housing options that you choose. Pick the most reliable website that you can because you are not on in the United States right now. You couldn't go to the place directly and make the deal. But because you are doing it online, you need to double check everything before you pay anything. And if you can get, maybe like opinion or insights from people who are Indonesian students who is already there, which is you can try Permias or find LinkedIn or whatever and ask them questions that you have concern on before you pay. Okay. Then I think that's my last tip.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Santika. Thank you so much, David. David said, congratulations for your acceptance to US universities all. Happy to be at the session today. Likewise, David, thank you so much. Really, really helpful. Because to be completely honest with you, I didn't really expect that we got bombarded with like a lot of questions, but amazing questions. And I'm very proud to tell you guys that all of those questions are already being answered in this session. So thank you, Santika. Thank you, David. Thank you, of course, Adamerica team. But last but not least, of course, thank you for all of you who are attending the session. So have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next time. And I'm going to give it back to James.
Thank you, Kak Fina and Kak Santika, for today's very informative session. Earlier in the event, we asked audience members a question. That question is, which of the following is the oldest college in the United States? And the correct answer to that is option A, Harvard University. It was founded in 1636, making it older than the United States of America, which declared independence in 1776. Congratulations goes to B. Setyawan from Zoom for answering correctly. And thank you to everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time for another chance to get a shout out from us. I'd also like to remind all our audience members of our giveaways. Food worth 1 million Indonesian rupiah for 10 lucky people to share with family and friends. If you're still interested in joining, visit our link at atam.tv/maywe for more information. Now, you may be wondering, how could I develop an awesome idea for a place like this? It's very easy. All you need to do is go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, select Create a Program, and click Collaborate with us. All event proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for all our weekly updates. And that's it. That wraps this episode. It's been fun, but we have to say goodbye for now. Follow our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at @ATAmerica for all our fun contents, event updates, and so much more. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. My name is James, and I'll see you at the next America TV episode. Goodbye.